Hey everyone, Anthony Scott here of ToyHypeUSA.com. Today we are reviewing the newly released Disney's Gargoyles Broadway Ultimate Action Figure from NECA Toys. Special shout out and thank you to NECA for sending along for a review. That's greatly appreciated. Broadway comes in a window box with an opening flap, and on the artwork there is just phenomenal. You have a sign behind Broadway that says "Coming Soon, Macbeth on Broadway," which, as you know, Macbeth is coming in this line. He is one of the major characters and a major villain. On the sides, you have several images of the figure. One is right there, and here is the other one showing both the head sculpts and some interchangeable hands. And on the back, you have him in additional poses. You also have a description, which you see right here. And you have a look at additional characters, all of which you probably own by now. And below that, you have a look at all of his accessories right there. Here's a look at the top of the box with the Gargoyles logo. And of course, the bottom of the box gives you the names of all the great people at NECA Toys responsible for bringing this set together. Here's a look at the picture of the opening flap, and on the right, he comes in a window box with a plastic tray along with all of his accessories. And finally, here's a look at the plastic tray. This is how it's all packaged for safekeeping. I'm going to take him out now, and let's take a closer look. Here's your in-hand look at Broadway. He's given a sculpt with a bit of realism. NECA is kind of doing their own thing with this line. It's not solely based on the animated series or even the vintage toy line. They're going about it and doing it kind of like their way, which I think is just phenomenal. The figure is painted in this really good shade of blue, which works very well for the character if you remember the cartoon. There's also a bit of a black wash, or dark gray wash, I should say, over the sculpt, defining the muscles and other details of the sculpt. On the back, you have the pegs for the wings that the wings would be pushed into, and up there is where the tail goes, and I'll be putting that through in a few moments. The figure also includes this piece of clothing, which is painted in a darker blue with a black wash, also a black belt and a metallic belt buckle. Here's a look at this particular head sculpt. This is very nicely done. You have the two fangs poking through, which you see right there, the eyes, especially the ears. The gargoyle features are very nicely done. And you see three spikes right onto the top of the head here, which are also very nicely done. The ears also have a black wash in there. And the eyes also have a black wash. Here's a look at the angry, snarling head sculpt with white eyes and open mouth where you see more of the teeth and the tongue. Also a black wash inside. The eyes and ears are also very nicely done with the black wash I indicated before. And on the top of the head, he has those three spikes there. Here's a look at the wings and the tail applied on him. The wings on both sides have that very nicely done sculpted details and paint wash. The tail is bendy, so that can help him stand as shown. Here is a closer look at the details on the wing. Nicely done paint wash and sculpting. And here's a look at the other side, painted in a black with a metallic gray wash there. And of course you have the tail, which I said is bendy, so there's your look there. As far as his articulation goes, it's standard for the Ultimate Gargoyles line, which includes swivel hinged wings as well as a swivel hinged and bendy tail. He also has a ball jointed head, full range of motion there, ball jointed torso, ball hinged shoulders, swivel biceps, double hinge elbows, swivel hinge wrists, swivel waist, ball jointed hips, full range of motion, swivel thighs, swivel hinge knees. The knee joint here does get in a little bit of the way of the knee articulation, so just be aware of that. Here's a closer look what I mean. He also has swivel hinged ankles, as well as hinged toes. So, again, the articulation is standard for the Ultimate Gargoyles line. He also includes a handful of accessories, the interchangeable head I showed you guys recently. He also includes 2 additional sets of interchangeable hands, popcorn, a drumstick, moss, and a mace axe, which can be broken apart and put together. Here's a closer look at his closed-fisted hands. As these are closed, he can't use them to hold any accessories. However, they are necessary for punching. Here's a look at these fists with his much more fierce-looking head. Here's a pose of the fierce-looking head along with his open-fingered claws. Here's another pose. Here's a closer look at that piece of moss which can fit in his hand. Here's a closer look. It's painted in green with a wash. He also comes with a bag of popcorn with some very nicely done sculpted detail, especially on top, which actually looks like popcorn. The bag itself has the word popcorn right in front, and it's painted in purple and yellow with black text. Also included is a right open grip hand and a drumstick, which has a couple of bites taken out of it. Here's a closer look at that drumstick. I'm going to turn it around so you guys can see the bite. You see the dark meat on that side and a little bit of lighter meat on the other. The mace axe can be split, and here's a look at the axe half. Since he only has 1 open grip hand, he can only hold 1 accessory at the time, or both accessories when they're combined together. Here's a look at the mace half. It has sharp spikes. Here's a look at the mace axe combined. It is painted in some metallic dark gray, brown handles, and with a wash on there. This is very nicely done. The blade, nice and thin, sharp ends, which you see me pointing, and the mace side, that has some sharp points as well. Here's another look at the mace axe. Here's a group shot of the Manhattan Clan. What's missing is Lexington, which has not yet been released. Here's a comparison shot with Brooklyn and Goliath. You'll notice that Brooklyn and Broadway don't have their wings on, nor do they have folded wings released or even announced, I believe. And that's because it's much easier to stand them side by side without the wings. Here's a comparison with Bronx and Hudson. Overall, Broadway is a phenomenal figure. You're going to need him to add to your collection. Thank you again to NECA Toys for sending along for review. Greatly appreciate that. We have 1 more Gargoyle figure, which I don't even believe is released yet, so that is coming up very soon. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and share and follow us on toyhypeusa.com. I am Anthony Scott. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for more coverage and reviews.